I don't know if you have any Africa sort of specific lens to looking at these issues.
That's always a hard lens, right? It's a tough lens because, you know, as you said, things should be localized, right? Like, we've been working with things that are fairly localized, and I actually have, like, I have this background, like, question in me, right? It's always this tension between generalized, like, building the general model, right? Like, not what they're doing with the languages, right? You build something massive that can do a lot, versus what we've been doing, you know, like you say, you know, we live in a world of niche, right? These are my problems and these are the solutions I'm going to be building for that, right? Or like niche communities, we're going to learn these specific languages and we're going to build tools for these specific languages or for these specific plants, etc. I think my perspective for me right now is that we should continue being experimental. I think we're still in a fairly experimental space, and I think that's good. Because of the size, because of the diversity of perspectives and issues and resources, right? Like, there's just a diversity of culture and how we work, a diversity of what we learn and educational systems on the continent and everything. And so when I think about when we come together, like Data Science Africa or the Indaba, you know, these communities, when I think about when we come to those, like, I just think the things I love the most is always what's coming in from here and here and here and here, and all these different perspectives and different problems that, you know, I might not necessarily be thinking about. That I didn't know that, you know, people in Ghana were thinking about this, or people in Algeria were thinking about that, in Malawi, right? Like, these are the things that, for example, there was this whole, like, banking boom that seemed to be happening in, like, Zambia, right? Like, there was a couple of years back, like, the Zambians were really going in and, like, you know, looking into how do we bank people that are not banked, right? I don't know anything about the banking system in Zambia. I don't know anything about, like, who's banked in terms of populations, etc. Right? So you get to see all of these perspectives. And for me, I think this is the lens that's very good for us. And I think it's actually very useful for us to be so embedded in our problems, because quite honestly, we don't always have a lot of resources to look at our problems, right? And I think the resources that we have, it's a good thing that at least the human resources, right, all the intelligence is looking inward and looking at the problems that we do have, because, you know, then that actually changes, right? Like, now Data Science Africa has changed things, Masakani has changed things, right? Like, these are now conversations that are being had, and it came because the intelligence was focused inside, right? Like, we were looking at our own data, our own languages, our own diseases, our own crops, right? And so I think, you know, that's going to be like the thing that changes us. I do think that sometimes there is so much mass and velocity that's coming from the outside, you know, like, all this is very loud, right? Because you're working with these huge companies that have all these funds and all this power, right? There's so much power from, like, all the AI companies that are outside, or AI institutions, from the universities, from the researchers themselves, from the labs, all of these, the industrial labs, all of this is just so much that I think it can get distracting and also attracting, right? It can be like, oh, I want to go and solve this problem, right? Because it just looks so cool and everybody's talking about it, and it looks like this is the latest thing. This is gonna be the thing that becomes the it, right? Like, this is gonna be the thing. And so I think it can be very distracting. So I think my perspective is, I love that we're still looking inside and we're still taking our problems very seriously, even though they may look like they are problems at a fairly small scale. Because if we don't, I just kind of feel like it's going to be yet another one of those things where there was a new educational revolution, right? Like, a new revolution of knowing. And then, like, we have to once again import knowledge, right? We're now creating the knowledge ourselves here. We have to import this knowledge. And so that's the fear, right? Because anytime we are going to import something, we're not going to be as natural at it. Like, this is not our native language, right? We always have to adapt. And so, like, this is the thing that I think, because we have competitive advantage if we just, try to do what we know inherently and live it.